In the light of climatic and demographic changes witnessed by Lebanon over the years, water issues became an urgent need for sustainable development, particularly considering the increasing water consumption. There is no doubt that water is closely associated with food security, social stability, and energy. In order to ensure the availability of water in a sustainable way, the main factors that shall be taken into consideration are the decrease of rain and snow amounts, pollution, depletion of groundwater, aging of water networks, and infraction of surface watercourses. Lebanon is characterized by heavy rain for a short period in winter, whereas the rest of the year falls in drought. The average rainfall is 800 millimeters, and the annual renewable resources are estimated by 2.7 billion cubic meter. It would be impossible to meet water demand during dry periods if precipitation and snow-melted water aren't stored. The snow-melting axis, which in the 70s used to reach 800 meters above sea level, now reaches 1,000 to 1,200 meters. Moreover, considering an increase of temperature by 2 degrees Celsius due to global warming, the water quantity from snowmelt is estimated to drop down from 1,200 million cubic meter to 700 million cubic meter. And with an increase of temperature by 4 degrees Celsius, the snow melt volume is estimated to reach 350 million cubic meter. Evaporation is a significant issue too. Its value reaches 4,100 million cubic meters each year, which is around half of the rain quantity which falls within the Lebanese territories. Mismanagement of groundwater due to uncontrolled digging of wells and excessive pumping of groundwater will lead to the drain of groundwater levels. Hence, this will cause loss of strategic underground reserves and increase of their salinity. There have always been conflicts between Lebanon and neighboring countries in relation to the equitable sharing and reasonable use of transboundary water basins, which is an important issue for the MENA region, where available water resources are limited. This requires using technological tools to determine accurately the shared international basins and manage their resources. Within this context, Lebanon suggested to apply the hydro-diplomacy concept on transboundary basins with riparian countries, according to the United Nations 1997 Convention. Although Lebanon is not known as a water-scarce country, yet the reliability shows that around 1.2 billion cubic meter per year from its renewable water volume is wasted in the sea, in addition to the low efficiency of its drinking water and irrigation networks. Hence, Lebanon has to find solutions for these problems. Lebanon seawater springs are estimated about 385 million cubic meter annually. Therefore, using these non-conventional water resources will contribute in ensuring additional water to meet future demand in the country. Lebanon's total amount of renewable water resources are estimated around 2,700 million cubic meter per year. But in the future, it will decrease due to global warming. Climate change-related phenomena will negatively affect the availability of water resources and food security, and, combined with the refugees problem, will lead to the decrease of surface and groundwater resources, including the renewable ones, rainfall and snow levels. Official authorities have calculated the water balance, still unsustainable in Lebanon, for all sectors for 2018 and 2040 as follows. 2018 irrigation, 900 million cubic meters. Industry, 150 million cubic meters. Drinking water, 501 million cubic meters. Total, 1.55 billion cubic meters per year. A sustainable demand management plan up to 2040, in case we worked on improving irrigation efficiency through drip irrigation technology, will lead to the following results. Irrigation, 1,900 million cubic meters. Industry, 400 million cubic meters. Drinking water, 1,100 million cubic meters. Total, 3.4 billion cubic meters per year. The total water demand in all sectors, irrigation, drinking water and industry, estimated between 2018 and 2040, shows clear deficiency exceeding 1 billion cubic meters per year. Water resources during dry periods between July and October are very limited and are estimated by 295 million meter cube compared to the water needs for all sectors, estimated by 985 million meter cube. Hence, water deficit is estimated by 690 million meter cube and will reach 1,660 million meter cube by 2040. This obliges us to implement projects and necessary reforms to avoid the crisis. According to the official statistics performed in 2005, the number of residents in Lebanon are estimated to be 4.8 million. If we consider that the population growth rate every year is 2.7%, the number of residents will reach around 8 million people by 2040. Regarding the total demand of water for drinking purposes and for industry, the average daily per capita consumption is estimated, according to official authorities and reports of the World Bank, by 300 litres. In addition, we should also consider the problem of refugees spread all over Lebanon due to the conflicts in the region, and whose number has reached 1.5 million. According to FAO and Minister of Agriculture statistics related to the irrigation water demand, the irrigated area in 2018 is estimated by 110,000 hectares. In order to ensure food security, the area expected to be irrigated by 2040 shall be 280,000 hectares. In Lebanon, the irrigated areas unfortunately depend on surface irrigation by 75%, yet the remaining area, which depends on drip irrigation, doesn't exceed 10%, and the rest are irrigated by sprinkle. Therefore, since irrigation in Lebanon consumes a lot of renewable resources, one of the priorities is to shift to drip irrigation to cover the irrigated areas in Lebanon and apply a water consumption between 6,000 and 7,000 meter cube per hectare every year by 2040 instead of 10,000 meter cube per hectare every year as in 2018, to reduce the waste of renewable resources as in the developed countries. This realistic diagnosis of the water situation shows that water scarcity is threatening Lebanon. If we want to ensure water security for the Lebanese people, we must implement a proactive plan revolving around the concept of integrated water resources management at the basin level, taking into consideration the vertical and horizontal component as follows. The vertical component represented by technical projects such as building dams, lakes, water treatment plants and groundwater recharge. Horizontal component represented by awareness in schools and universities, awareness of farmers' protection of environment, and the most important partnership between public and private sectors. To this respect, the Ministry of Energy and Water adopted a national water plan with modern standards in the sector to benefit from water resources by constructing dams and hill lakes, recharging the aquifers, implementing projects for drinking water, irrigation, wastewater and treatment plant projects and reuse, rehabilitating riverbeds to avoid floods, extracting sea springs, generating hydroelectric power by enhancing the participation of private and public sectors, and cooperating with non-governmental organizations and municipalities in order to ensure water demand management for the future till 2040 and to ensure social and food security for the Lebanese people. We can't separate between water, energy, food and ecosystems because they are closely related to each other. Anand Lake, the surrounding agricultural lands, and Arkash plant for hydroelectric power in Jazeen, South Lebanon, are role models and shall be replicated whenever the circumstances are conducive for implementing such projects to benefit all sectors. Where water used for irrigation or drinking purposes, in addition, we can transfer it by gravity to turbines to generate hydroelectric power and keep an ecological flow for the environment throughout the year. order to manage water resources in the basin and proper planning of its projects in all investment sectors, there must be a river basin management organization whose members are from public administrations, representatives of local authorities, economic sectors, water users, civil society, etc., to coordinate with each other. The total current surface water resources stored, which can be used during dry periods for agriculture, drinking water and industry sectors, are estimated to be around 295 million cubic meters, and they are not enough to meet the increasing demand of water. Bearing in mind that more than 1,200 million cubic meters are wasted in the sea every year. Hence, in order to cover this demand and help in providing food security for the Lebanese and other residents, lakes and dams shall be constructed all over the Lebanese territories, permitting the storage of around 850 million cubic meters of water by 2040. Non-conventional water, which ensures additional water resources, is estimated by around 565 million cubic meters and could help in offsetting the water scarcity expected by 2040 as follows. 1. Treated wastewater. Most of the wastewater is gathered and drained within municipalities, and it flows untreated into rivers, valleys, streams and groundwater. This has major consequences affecting humans and the environment. Hence, it is necessary to establish wastewater treatment stations all over Lebanon to allow for the use of additional non-conventional water resources estimated by around 180 million cubic meter per year by 2040. 2. Freshwater sea springs. Freshwater sea springs are part of the non-conventional water resources and are estimated to be around 385 million cubic meters per year. Regarding desalination projects, it requires high power costs to be invested by 2040. Therefore, this process shall be performed with low carbon emissions technologies as a real choice for sustainable development. In order to have a good water resources management and reduce water losses by distributing them among stakeholders, more effort shall be exerted to increase the efficiency of drinking water supply networks, whose leakage rate reaches approximately 48%. Noting that it was possible to secure 130 million cubic meters for 2018 if the efficiency was raised from 50% to 70%. It is also possible to ensure 480 million cubic meters by 2040 if the efficiency is raised from 50% to 90%. Actually, the agricultural sector in Lebanon consumes around 1 billion cubic meters of water, forming a huge part of the total renewable water each year. Hence, in order to rationalize the use of irrigation water, modern irrigation techniques shall be adopted, such as drip irrigation or sprinklers, which consume 6,000 cubic meters per hectare instead of the conventional methods such as surface water channels consuming 10,000 cubic meters per hectare, which could save 1,120 million cubic meters of water by 2040 if applied. In Lebanon, unfortunately, groundwater was considered the main source of water for water supply instead of using surface water. However, the groundwater should be a strategic reserve for use during dry periods, and the random drilling of wells and excessive pumping should be avoided. Therefore, the Ministry of Energy and Water has integrated in its national plan the implementation of projects for the artificial recharge of groundwater layers all over Lebanon. Reforms of the water sector shall be based on the new Water Code and related national legislations, and implementing the CIFME for training the water expert personnel in both private and public sectors, including directors, engineers, technicians and workers. A water information system at basin level should be established at this centre to collect and update key data and information needed. Most of the wastewater is gathered and drained within the municipalities without treatment till they flow in rivers, streams and groundwater. The worst is throwing garbage and debris there, in addition to using pesticides and a large amount of chemical fertilizers which harm the environment and cause a huge health damage for humans. We often notice that the government is not able to implement the needed developmental projects in general and in the water sector in particular. Hence, partnership between both private and public sectors shall be enhanced through the launching of BOT and DBOT projects, concession, lease and others, in order to raise the necessary funds to implement these projects. It is worth noting that the General Directorate of Hydraulic and Electric Resources have drafted a public-private partnership law in 2003 to manage basins, all kinds of storage facilities, treatment plants and power generation. All technical, diplomatic, administrative and organizational activities performed by the Ministry of Energy and Water aim to develop a new concept of water education for enhancing and exchanging information in order to apply integrated water resources management at the basin level. IWRM, along with Nexus, will achieve sustainable development goals in Lebanon and the MENA region. Thus, through focusing on rationalizing the water use and raising citizens' awareness about the problems related to the water resources at the national and regional level. This process will rely on the following: adopting guidance plans to improve the citizens' behavior in consuming water by all segments of society, especially in schools, universities and all sectors, in order to promote awareness to preserve water. applying the concept of sustainable national and regional cooperation on water management, preserving water and adopting equitable sharing and reasonable use of water, according to the Convention on the Law of Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses 1997. Hence, the water education, which we wanted to establish through this documentary, revolves around the path of sustainable development in order to preserve human dignity according to the following steps. Ensure fair and just distribution of clean water for each citizen. Encourage water users to keep, preserve, recycle and responsibly use water sources. Prevent water pollution by adopting ways and procedures to reduce pollution sources. Preserve the ecology of rivers by protecting the environment. Raise awareness of local and international societies about water and organize educational activities in order to understand the relation between local civil society and responsible uses of water and their benefits on all environmental, social and economic aspects. We hope to support the project of water education in order to preserve human development in this country, which is the basis and cradle of all divine religions. Special thanks to His Excellency Minister of Energy and Water, Engineer Cesar Abi Khalil, and His Excellency General Director Dr. Fadi Georges Comair for the efforts they have exerted to accomplish this study and documentary to ensure water and food security for the Lebanese people.